The Berenstain Bears Learn About Heaven by Mike Berenstain. Oh, for heaven's sake, said Lizzie Bruin as a popsicle fell from its stick to the ground. Plop! It lay there, an oozy, chocolatey mess. Here, said Sister, holding out her own popsicle. You can share with me. They had been to the ice cream stand down the road and were heading back to the Bear family's treehouse to play. Thank heavens yours didn't fall too, said Lizzie as they took turns licking the yummy ice cream. Said Sister to herself. Lizzie's talk about heaven started her thinking. Lizzie, she said, what do you think heaven is? Well, said Lizzie, I don't know. I guess it's big, fluffy white clouds in the sky with angels flying around, playing golden harps and stuff like that. I suppose so, said Sister, but Mama once told me heaven is where God lives with all those who have faith in him. Sure, said Lizzie, that too. Does God have a house in heaven? Wondered Sister. I don't know, said Lizzie. I think he has a throne, though. Sister liked thrones. Princesses had thrones. She imagined a golden throne in heaven covered with diamonds and other shiny gems. Sister and Lizzie met brother and cousin Fred while they were on their way to the park to play baseball. Heavens to Betsy, cried brother, pretending to be surprised when he saw them. If it's not my little sister and her charming friend Lizzie. Greetings. Lizzie giggled, but Sister didn't laugh. She was still thinking about heaven. Brother, she said, what do you think heaven is? Huh? Said brother, now really surprised. But cousin Fred, who liked to read the dictionary for fun, answered her. Heaven, Fred explained, is a place regarded as a home of God and the angels, and of the good after death, often traditionally depicted as being above the sky. Above the sky? Asked Sister, puzzled. Sister tried to imagine something above the sky, but it was a challenge. Brother and cousin Fred headed for the park, while Sister and Lizzie continued on their way. They passed Grizzly Gramps and Gran's house. Sister could see Gran through the window, rocking in her rocking chair. Sister decided to knock on the door. Why, Sister and Lizzie Bruin, cried Gran, answering the door. How good to see you. Come on in. Gran poured the cubs glasses of milk and put out a plate of cookies as they sat down together. Now, cubs, said Gran, rocking away. What's on your minds? There is something on my mind, admitted Sister. I've been wondering about heaven. Gran, what do you think heaven is? Well, now, said Gran, that's a pretty big subject. There are lots of ways to think about heaven. She got up and took the Bible down from the shelf. She turned the pages looking for something. I think this is the most beautiful description of heaven, said Gran. It's from the book of Revelation. Then the angel showed me the river of the water of life, as clear as crystal, flowing from the throne of God and the Lamb down the middle of the great street of the city. On each side of the river stood the tree of life, bearing 12 crops of fruit, yielding its fruit every month. Sister and Lizzie were very, very thoughtful as they walked home. Gran was right. Heaven was a pretty big subject. That Sunday, the Bear family went to church as usual. They sat in the pew as usual. They sang hymns, prayed, and read Bible verses as usual. And as usual, Preacher Brown gave his sermon. But this sermon was not as usual. It was all about the kingdom of heaven, and, what's more, it was about little children. Preacher Brown read from the book of Matthew. Jesus said, Let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, from the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these. Jesus is telling us that heaven is like a kingdom filled with all of those that believe in him, explained Preacher Brown. To truly have faith in Jesus, we must become simple and loving like little children. He then asked all the children in church to come forward. There are so many ways to think about heaven, said Preacher Brown. It is a place of God and his angels. It is where our loved ones who have passed go to be with God. But it is also all of us, here, all who have faith in Christ, all those who have the faith of a little child. Such is the kingdom of heaven. As Sister and the cubs stood before the church, they felt the love of Christ and all his people surround and embrace them. And that was heavenly indeed.